Good people on the quest for good content. What is good? If this is the first time you're seeing us in the new year, happy 2026. We hope it isn't, but if it is, welcome to the channel. I am one of your hosts. You got the three-headed monster, the three primary contributors to the channel at this point. My name is Bill Farrow. I'm here with David Grunfeld and Jordan Bell. Boys, happy new year. I know we'll be a little bit past or further past the year by the time this video comes out, but how we been? Jordan, what's the word?
Yeah, I'm good. Happy New Year to you as well. This is the first time I'm seeing you in the new year, and Dave. We recorded our first episode of 2026 before the new year, I believe. So yeah, this is our first time running the three-man weave in 2026, and I'm doing well. I am optimistic about the new year. How about you guys?
Nowhere to go but up, man.
Feeling
Not
great.
that I was down, but
Yeah,
I was a little bit down at the top of last year, so we're doing better. Step 2 of the 3-step plan is in effect.
we love a 3-step plan, and I'm doing. It's great to hear, Bill, and Jordan, and yeah, I'm great. I'm in my Kevin Love, Peja Stojakovic position in the three-man weave, hands ready for the ball to put a shot up. So yeah, everything's great. Everything's great. I'm ready to have an interesting song of the week right now because we're Jordan. You can explain this in better detail, but we're throwing a little wrinkle into song of the week this week.
Yeah, so I'll hop right into it. I've been not watching, but reading David Halberstram's book, The Breaks of the Game, which is an old basketball book, primarily about like the 1979 Portland Trailblazers. And David kind of spent a lot of time on the road with these teams. And he talks about this old game that coaches used to play called Players That We Would Pay to See. And so I thought it'd be fun to kind of play that game with you guys and call it Artists That We Would Pay to See. And so we decided today to just pick artists who are no longer living that we would have paid money to go see. Since I brought up the game, I'll kick us off, so you guys know me at this point, and I love like really good soulful R&B melodic music. And so when we're talking about live performances, I believe the most impressive type of live performance that you can see is an amazing female vocalist. I think there's just something majestic about their voices that even the most talented male vocalists can't achieve. So when we go back in history and we look at some of the best female vocalists that are no longer with us, the list is very impressive. If we were to make a Mount Rushmore, some of the names we would have to consider would be Etta James, Patti LaBelle, Tina Turner, Billie Holiday, Amy Winehouse, Nina Simone, and that's just to name a few. But I think that there are two artists that undoubtedly deserve a statue by themselves next to Mount Rushmore. And the first is Aretha Franklin, who we've talked about before on this podcast, who's an amazing vocalist, the best ever maybe. But the second, and probably my personal favorite, is the one and only Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston was one of one, man. No one could sing quite like Whitney. Whitney's voice was like a glass of lemonade on a hot summer day, to kind of try and throw some Bill in there. I feel like that's something Bill might say. But I feel like she was like, to me, Whitney Houston was the Kevin Durant of singing. There was no weakness in her game as a singer. She could sing gospel, R&B, pop, soul music, all while being the most beautiful woman in the world. She sang the national anthem at the Super Bowl in 1991, and to this day, no one has come close to singing it as well as her. So there are many artists who are no longer with us that I would pay to go see, that I never had the opportunity to see, but Whitney Houston would have to be at the top of my list, the most fabulous singer to ever live. So all of that leads me to my song of the week, which is going to come from Whitney Houston. My favorite thing that we've said on this podcast is that music is supposed to make you feel something. We've constantly talked about selecting songs that bring us joy, make us cry, help us remember something we haven't thought about in a long time. So my song of the week is going to be a song that brings me back to my childhood. And that song is going to be Whitney Houston and the one and only Mariah Carey, When You Believe, off of the Prince of Egypt soundtrack. So for those of you that are unfamiliar, The Prince of Egypt was the animated film that tells the famous story of Moses and the Egyptians. In my opinion, it is easily the best children's theological film ever. I'm not going to tell the whole story, but Moses has been tasked with freeing the Hebrews who have been enslaved in Egypt for over 400 years. And the song When You Believe in the movie is played at the breaking point in the movie when Pharaoh finally frees the slaves and they take their leave towards Canaan. Canaan, I think is how you say it. But it's eventually what ends up becoming Israel. So I loved this movie as a kid, and this song is a beautiful song about hope and faith. And it has Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey, who are two of the 5 best female vocalists of all time in the middle of their prime, singing together. It's a beautiful song, and if you haven't heard it, I highly recommend you take some time and watch them perform at the Oscars in 1999. So again, my song of the week and my artist that I would pay to see that's no longer with us is Whitney Houston, and the song is Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey, When You Believe, off of the Prince of Egypt soundtrack.
Good movie. Really good movie. Really great song.
Great.
Great
They don't
movie.
make them like that anymore. I'll tell you that. They don't make movies like The Prince of Egypt anymore. And that is a banger soundtrack and a phenomenal choice, Jordan. I think a left field but terrific Whitney Houston pick right there. That's a fantastic choice right there. And also, just to second your point, she's the best anthem, and it's like her, and then the rest. The conversation can just begin after that. Unbelievable. If you've never seen it, go on YouTube right now and watch Whitney Houston sing the national anthem. Just unbelievable. Great choice.
And an amazing fit. She's got a great American flag tracksuit on when she sings the national anthem at the Super Bowl. That's top
early
tier.
90s. Oh, top tier 90s vibes. And just, Whitney, Aretha, who, like, I love that you put her and Aretha kind of in their own category. I saw an interview with Aretha where she described Whitney as a talent. And when Aretha Franklin is describing you as a talent, you're really occupying rarefied air, like you said, Jordan. So again, just great shout there.
Go ahead, Dave. Take us into yours.
Appreciate it.
But yeah, okay, yeah, we'll do it. I mean, when you're talking about musicians who have passed away who you'd pay to see, we're talking about a really, really impressive list of people across all music. We could take this all the way back to like the Mozart, Beethoven, classical music era. There's for certain folks, I'm sure an argument to be made there. Like we were just talking about off camera a few minutes ago. There's unfortunately in hip hop, there's a very long list of people who were taken way too soon that I think would be iconic to see. Biggie, Tupac, Big L, Mac Miller, we mentioned, Nipsey Hussle, so many, too many to list, unfortunately. But I went a different direction with it, Jordan. I kind of went your direction with it, where I was thinking of my childhood, and also just as a fan of live music, like what would be the best show, the most fun show to go to and have as an experience. I came really close to picking Bob Marley because I think that would be an unbelievable experience for lots of reasons. Him just being so powerful beyond just the music. But what I ended up going with was a band and a singer that I grew up with a lot because both my parents are big fans. And I've continued to grow into his music, and as I've gotten older, because my wife is a huge fan, and I decided to go with maybe it's a cop out because the whole band hasn't passed away, but I decided to pick Freddie Mercury and Queen. I know Queen tours or has toured Adam Lambert, other people as their front person, which I've heard is a great show, and I'm sure it is a great show. What I'm talking about, what I would pay to see is like prime mid early 80s Queen with Freddie Mercury at the peak of his powers, playing an arena show. I think with the the biopic, I should say, that was made about him with Rami Malek playing him. They spent the first 15-ish minutes of that movie kind of recreating the famous Live Aid 1985 performance at Wembley Stadium. Like Jordan was just talking about with Whitney Houston. That's one of those things that if you've never seen that, it's worth just going on YouTube right now and watching 5 or 10 minutes of that performance. As someone who's done a lot of theater in my life and a lot of live performance, Freddie Mercury's stage presence and ability to command a crowd, total unregulated confidence and ability just on full display with the talent of like a trained opera singer or someone who can really sting anything at any time, and made music that was for that environment, was for arena, for tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people to sing together and rock out to, which is probably not the exact form of music that is my favorite per se as a grown up. But if I could pay to see one musician who isn't with us anymore, it would probably be Freddie Mercury and Queen playing a sold out somewhere. That would be my pick. So with that as my choice, there were lots of great options for songs of the week. They've made a lot of incredible music. There are the hits, of course. They have a lot of them. I ended up landing on "Don't Stop Me Now" from their 1978 album Jazz. That song, I think, is, as I can remember it, is one of, if not the first song that I ever memorized all the lyrics to, because I was so like captivated by it that I was like, I have to like listen to the song 1,000 times and learn every word and remember how Freddie hits each start of chorus and verse. I just kind of fell in love with the song. And so, like Jordan, you were saying, the Whitney takes you right back to your childhood. For me, that's what "Don't Stop Me Now" by Queen does. Song with just unbelievable like energy and pace and rhythm and a crazy guitar solo, and it's kind of just like everything that's fun about Queen kind of distilled down into one of my favorite childhoods. So yeah, my song of the week from the artist that is no longer with us is "Don't Stop Me Now" by Queen off of their 1978 album Jazz.
Talk about a Mount Rushmore of pure vocal talents from a male perspective. It'd be hard not to put him on. Yeah.
Gotta be, and part of what's so fun about that Live Aid performance is when he's just doing scales
Mhm.
essentially, but with the crowd all in response. Hearing him do it to like, a world-class ability and then have whatever it is, 100,000 people, coming back to him. You can see the energy in his eyes. He was just such a captivating, like mesmerizing
Mhm.
performer. I just think that seeing that in person would be so
Mhm.
electric. So rest in peace, Freddie. You left an incredible mark on the
And
culture.
contrary to what the movie shows,
Yeah.
Queen never broke up. It's important to say that.
Yeah, Brian May's still out there
Yeah.
shredding, as far
Yeah,
as I
man.
know. So that's, and the rest of the gang. So yeah, I mean, I would be interested maybe if they ever come to Southern California. I would go see the revitalized tour if they're still
Mhm.
doing that for sure.
Great choice. I love it when we bring some music. I'm obviously familiar with Queen, but I don't listen to their music. So I'm looking forward to going back and listening to that track.
It's yeah, thank you. And I would say, as you do that, and anyone else out there who's going to do that, it's really interesting because it's such a different era of music, right? They have a lot of 2-disc projects. They have stuff that they're really known, I think, for probably like 5 or 6 like mega hits, which are there and are amazing. Listening to their albums all the way through is really, really interesting. They're really, really phenomenal musicians. And like Bill was just saying, like Freddie's like vocal ability is just like kind of just jaw dropping, even on songs when he's not belting. He's able to be tender, and not just be loud all the time and still be a great singer. Yeah, Jordan, I'm excited for you to dive in. It's a fun listen.
Nice. Also listen to "Cool Cat" by Queen if you want to talk about a little bit more of the serene, tender side of Freddie's vocal talent. Bonus song for y'all. Let's see. Who would I go see? Who would I pay to go, an obscene amount of money to go see? Obviously, James Brown. That's going to be on my short list of answers. One of the best bands to ever exist. And at any point in time when they were performing on the super, super, super short list of best band in the world. And the song, I mean, I don't know. He's the Godfather of Soul, man. He's everything, right? So, main inspiration for Michael Jackson. Obviously, everybody pulls from sources, but that's one of his main inspirations. Prince, his tree is ever expanding. So I would love to see just one of those 3-hour shows that they put on where he was like multiple hours late. Like I'd sit there patiently waiting. So that's who I would go see. And my song of the week is going to be actually my pregame baseball song for over a decade. It is "Doing It to Death," which is a relatively underrepresented song in James Brown's catalog, but the first words of the song are "hit it." And I remember the reason this became my guess pregame baseball song is I went to a showcase. This was the last song that came on. I was the youngest person at the showcase, and I did actually pretty well and got, on a couple of college coaches' boards and whatever. So a little bit of sentimental value. But what I love about this song is just that sandy guitar that just kind of dusts over the sonic landscape. And James Brown and his band are just going in and out in unison with these vocals. And then this trombone comes in on like a minute and a half solo and just like decimates the air. It's just like giving these huge left hooks to the space within the song. And it's just running and going. And you have like this chanting spiritual communal quality to the vocals that go in and out when James Brown and his band are going, "We got to take you higher." Obviously they do it better than I just did it, but you get what I mean. So song of the week for me is going to be "Doing It to Death," James Brown. That's who I would go see. He's like the automatic one of three answers I would give. Stay tuned for the next installment of when we do this for my other two top of mind artists. In the meantime, that's who I would go see. Second favorite artist of all time. So I'm going to put him first on the list because, again, like I said, for the better part of like 15, maybe 20 years, probably on the short list of greatest band in the world.
I had a feeling that's who you're going to pick, Bill. I think that's the second time. I think that's our first repeat song of the week. I think you picked that song once before.
Did I?
I think we were talking pregame music one time, and you picked that song. No harm, no foul. It's a great song. We can run it back.
That's interesting because if we're talking pregames, then I definitely mentioned "Boogie Shoes" by the Casey and the Sunshine Band, right? Does that jog a memory?
No, I think you talked to this song. I don't remember you talking about that song. No, I remember you specifically talking the James Brown song.
Well, there's like 100 others I could pick. So if we needed to double down, I could do that.
I think it speaks to how much that song means to you, which I think is cool. And I was talking about Freddie Mercury as a singer and a performer. If we're talking about Mount Rushmores of that, James Brown is easily on that. I mean, the famous story that I remember reading about some time back was his early days when the Rolling Stones were just coming to the U.S. and were just looking to break in. They did, I forget, it might have been a famous show or it might have been a showcase. I don't remember exactly what it was. Yeah, I think it was a national TV audience. And the Stones were scheduled to follow James Brown. And James Brown, this is like early, young James Brown.
Yeah, I've heard this story.
This is like all three of our artists here. If you haven't seen video of young James Brown, I mean, any age James Brown, but especially young James Brown, oh my God, just electricity in human form. He's out there doing the splits, he's dancing, it's just electric. That's the only way I can describe it. And the Stones basically refused to perform. They're like, how do we follow this? And the Rolling Stones, by any estimation, are one of the most successful, bands in the history of music. So, Bill, unbelievable choice. James Brown is one of the, not only the best, but I think most important artists probably of contemporary music history. So you can't go wrong with any choice there.
So good. Apparently I had to say it twice and totally forgot about it. So it's just in my subconscious,
That's how good it is. Like you said, it's all the way buried in there, and it's in a good way.
Yeah. All right, great job, guys. This was a fun game to play. I've got one quick thought before we get out of here. Just a message to all of our followers and listeners and viewers. So there's this clip that routinely makes its way around social media where Remy Ma explains how she got on the infamous Lean Back record. Have you guys seen this clip?
Not for a long time.
Yeah,
okay.
For a while.
All right. Well, apparently the song was just supposed to be Fat Joe, but she happened to be at the studio on the day that they were recording the song. So Remy heard the song and knew instantly that it was going to be monumental. Fat Joe leaves the studio to get lunch, and as soon as he leaves the studio, she tells the engineer to erase his second verse on the song and let her hop in the booth. She then proceeds to deliver the most iconic verse of her career, R to the easy, M to the whiz-I. When Fat Joe returns, he realizes what she's done, but also realizes that the verse is too good to leave off the song. So 20 years later, that song has been streamed over 225 million times, and Remy Ma has performed that verse with Fat Joe all over the world. So the message, in my opinion, in that clip that stands out to me is this. Sometimes you have to take an opportunity even when it doesn't present itself. For whatever reason, Remy knew that day that song needed a flair that only she could give, but she took an opportunity that was not hers to take, and it changed the trajectory of not only her career, but the career of Fat Joe as well. So as you move forward in life, understand that sometimes something may belong to you that has someone else's name on it, and it's up to you to go get what's yours. That's all I got for us today. Before we leave real quick, happy birthday to Bill. I know you just had a birthday recently. We love you, man. You contribute so much to everything that we do, and so I want to wish you a happy birthday. Y'all know what it is. Until next time, this is Song of the Week. We're out of here. Peace.